Hi, Paul Slackus, Good News Broadcast, speaking to Richard E. Goldman, or Richie Goldman. Hi, Richie, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. You have a website, also richiegoldman.com, and Luck by Design is a book that he has created, certain success in a certain success in an uncertain world, okay, and it's underlined, and Richie has started working in the sales floor, a small clothing store, right? Well, give us a little bit background, because it's fascinating.
Well, I grew up on the East Coast, grew up in Pennsylvania, went to Rutgers in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and after I graduated, what I really wanted to do was get into the advertising business, but I didn't have enough money to go to graduate school, so I came back to Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and worked for my dad for a year. He had a family-owned hardware store. He was the second generation of that. And after about a year, I realized this is not going to work, and I really wanted to go out and do something else. So I pretty much on a whim picked up and moved to Houston, Texas, mostly because it was large, new, and mostly warm. And I tried to get a job in the advertising business, and I couldn't, and I ran out of money looking for my job, and ended up going to work for an all-advertising newspaper called The Green Sheet. The Green Sheet had both display advertising and classified advertising, and my job was to sell display advertising. And one day I ran into, I was driving down the street and saw this store called Mens Wearhouse. And it was a very interesting and colorful-looking store. This was 1973, keep in mind, where leisure suits were the in thing. And this Mens Wearhouse was the first and only Mens Wearhouse on Westheimer Road in Houston. And I met a guy named George Zimmer. And he and I developed a friendship, and he actually put me to work selling leisure suits on the floor of the first and only Mens Wearhouse at the time. And George kind of saw that I had a little light in my eye and I wanted to do something more, and after several rounds of back and forth, he offered a third of the company to me for $3,000, and I said, well, I think I could do that. And the rest, as they say, is history. I spent the next 29 years working with George and thousands of other employees, and created this brand that's pretty much known coast to coast. And
George is still doing the commercials.
George is still doing the commercials. He's still the CEO.
It's all good. I've worn the clothing. I know about you all over the country, and obviously you're a good marketing man, because in essence you have this book, Luck by Design, Certain Success in an Uncertain World, but when you go to your website, right, Blue Skies Photo Contest, learn more, win a trip for two to anywhere in the United States, okay? So in essence, this website of and to itself, we didn't even talk about all the good thoughts that you have to share. You're marketing in the sense of making something. What is marketing to you? I mean, you tell me.
Marketing is really creating something out of nothing. It's creating a brand, creating awareness, possibly top-of-mind awareness, for whatever it is, whether it's a product or a service that you're selling. And it depends on who you're trying to sell it to. My book, Luck by Design, is really aimed at children of baby boomers, and they get most of their information from the internet in one way or another, as opposed to their parents, baby boomers, who pretty much get their information from television, radio, newspaper, and the internet.
Combination.
Yes.
I agree. I'm like the only one on my street now that's reading the physical New York Times, as well as having an internet web broadcasting business. But I guess that what I was thinking in regard to your site is that you have Blue Skies Photo Contest, so you have something to give to somebody. You're, in essence, sharing something, an opportunity to win two for two anywhere in the United States, in addition to the good thoughts here. But let's talk about the good thoughts in your book, okay? Can the problems be solved? Okay, does the work seem insurmountable? Okay, from the environment to world affairs, there's a lot of problems and a lot of work ahead. All right, so, and on a cover here, you said, no heroes, Social Security mess, what are role models, scandal, no retirement, warming, collapse. All right, so this is Good News Broadcast. Give us the good news.
Well, the good news is that all of the problems that are out there can be fixed. I suppose the neutral news, or maybe even bad news, is that we baby boomers have not really left the world a safer and sounder place. And that was our promise many, many years ago. And I talk about that, and I talk about the fact that we are turning over a less safe world, but I think the really good news is that it can be fixed, it can be handled. It's like any other problem. It can be solved. The way to solve it is one problem at a time, rolling up your sleeves, and going to work. Okay,
well, let's talk about it. We're is it compatriots? We're about basically. I turned 60 this year.
You're much older.
But I was going to say that. I was going to say.
I'm not going to turn 60 till next year.
I feel much older than you. So, in essence, so what are some things we can do? So, let's see, half asleep. He's not really a fighter. He's an adventurer. There's a difference. He doesn't attack. He engages. He doesn't defend. He expands. He doesn't destroy. He transforms. He doesn't reject. He explores, said Tom Robbins, which is the half asleep in frog pajamas, which is the front quote. Why did you pick that quote for your book?
Because I believe that that's kind of what I do. I believe that there's more than one way to do anything, and I think that one of the things that George and I together decided many years ago was that we were going to build a business with a little bit different mindset than the mindset that was around in the mid to late 70s. We were going to try to build really a wholesome company, a company that would be more like that is as much as family as anything else, and we would try to give back to the community. And, a lot of people have this sense of what business is, and business means, Bernie Madoff or AIG. And what I say is that those are the exceptions to the rule, that there is good news in business, and quite frankly, business is the building block of our country. And, we decided a long time ago to try to put together a different kind of business. And by and large, I think we were successful.
Well, what are some of the things that you did in that business?
I think that we remembered that the most important person in our company, rather than our customers, believe it or not, the most important person was our employees, because we were trying to build a corporate culture, and if you want the buy-in of employees, you have to deliver on your promise. And believe it or not, it's the employees, the individuals that are out there on the floor of Mens Wearhouse stores, from coast to coast. Those are the people that have the first tactile relationship with a human being walking into the Mens Wearhouse store. It's not about George Zimmer. It's not about this giant chain of stores. It's about the one-on-one relationship between an employee and a customer. And so we decided a long time ago that the first person that has to have the buy-in about Mens Wearhouse has to be our employees.
Okay. How do you motivate a person to be a worker bee?
You have to, number one, reward them in more than financial ways. You have to, again, give them the buy-in. I think that everyone wants to feel like they're part of a family. And, we all come from families. Many of us still have our original nuclear family, but we also have friends that are around us that have become our sort of out-of-shell family. And I believe that if you can help create the family environment in the workplace, then you've really created something. Because the bottom line is that once we are out there in the working field, the thing that we're going to spend the most amount of hours in any 1 week doing is working. And so if you can create that family in that environment, you've really made something wonderful.
You have a chapter in here called Manage Yourself First, Then Manage Others. What's the thought here?
The thought is that number one, one day you are going to be called upon to manage. You're not necessarily going to be the CEO of the company, but you're going to be a manager of sorts. But before you can even begin to think about managing other people, you have to manage yourself. It's sort of like walking the walk as opposed to talking the talk. And once you can get control of your own life, you can then go out there and be a leader of other people.
Well, what do you say are some ways that a person could do that?
Taking advantage of of your own inner strengths and realizing that you, as a human being, have control over your life, that your life does not have to be controlled by outside influences, that you do, deep down inside, have the answers. You just may have lost the ability to get to those answers.
You know, sometimes I wonder how to deal with this myself, and I run my own company here. And, you know, though it's almost like parenting, sometimes you have to, like, say exactly how you feel about a situation. What do you think about, like, direct commentary?
I think that there's no one size fits all. I think you have to take every single situation as it comes up. Sometimes you do have to be a parent. Sometimes you have to be a warrior. Sometimes you have to be a disciplinarian. It depends on the individual situation, and it depends on the individual person that you're dealing with. And again, this goes back to having control over your own life. When something comes up in your business, when a situation comes up, whether it's a problem or a confrontation, you have to be able to take a step back and say, okay, what is really going on here, and how can I most deal effectively with it, as opposed to just flying off the handle.
We have a saying here, all we are is what we are for each other. What's your thinking in that regard?
I love that. I may have to steal it.
Go ahead. You don't have to steal it. You can have it actually from Jerry Greenberg gave it to me, a Philly boy, and it's to be passed along.
It's wonderful. I think that's exactly what the point is. You know, when you are in a business situation, you should all be partners, and whether you're the president, the CEO, or the part-time worker. If you are on the payroll, if you're part of the organization, everybody should be on the same page, and everybody should be can and should be watching each other's back.
You know, us baby boomers, let's call ourselves, in this situation, in the sense, are supposed to have had this understanding that we're all brothers and sisters. I mean, all those songs, Sly and the Family Stone, the Woodstock generation, blah, blah, blah. That, you know, it's one big planet Earth, and we're all in it together, and do you think that at some point some confusions occur in the business world as opposed to the human world, which in essence, if you understand, it really is the same world?
That's the point right there, is that it is the same world. It's the same world that was out there on the playground when you were in kindergarten. It's all the same world, and that's how you have to deal with it. And to go back to your earlier point there, I believe that our generation really had great promise and great hope, but somehow we kind of lost it along the line. And I think that the tipping point for that, for me, came on 9/11 and our reaction to 9/11. And I want to go back even further. When and I wasn't quite around yet, but when Pearl Harbor was bombed at the beginning of World War II, you know, Franklin Delano Roosevelt got up and energized the country. And the men got up and went off to war, and the women got out of the house and went and worked in the factories. And everybody rolled up their sleeves and created what needed to be created to beat the enemy, as it were. And so, you know, fast forward to 9/11, and our president gets up and pretty much says, all these terrible things happen, now let's get out there and go shopping. And was like, well, wait a minute. what is that? And then, we of course went shopping because that's what we do. And then we went around and put these silly little flags in our cars and windows and everything else, but we didn't really do anything. And I believe that now is both a critical and wonderful time in the history of our country, because we are now being asked to do something by our president. And now is the time to get up and do something. And I think the number one of the things that he's asking us to do, as opposed to going shopping, is to start thinking about giving back as a volunteer in one way or another. And I think that's how we start to rebuild this country, is to start to go out there and help the people in our country who might not be quite as fortunate as we are.
Let me ask you a question, Richie. I've asked this to lots of people, and I have my thinking on it and wonderment here. Do you think we can live in a world without countries, and with a leadership overseeing it?
Whoa. I don't know. My first thought about it is probably not, because we are so different culturally, and there's no editorializing there. We are just different from each other. We have trouble living in this country together because we are so culturally diverse. Mm-hmm. But I think that the bottom line is that there is actually a way that we can all get along, and the way we get along is to accept our differences and to not be judgmental about it. If everybody were the same, I think the world would be pretty boring. But we are different, and the way to create a better and safer and more peaceful world is to just be able to accept the fact that you live your life one way, I live my life another way, but fundamentally we all want to be able to live on a planet where we can feel safe to walk outside our homes and to speak whatever it is that's on our minds.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, when you say luck by design, what does that mean?
What I'm saying is that there is no such thing as luck. However, you can design your own luck. You can take control over your life, start to live a life with integrity and honesty, and being able to listen to other people and being aware of the fact that there are other opinions out there, and you can create a life where, from the outside looking in, it looks like you're very, very lucky. But in fact, you have just created your own life through your own design. You
have a open letter here. Go make some luck happen. Okay. Richie Goldman, P.S. You are here at the end of the book, here in this moment, here to take over your life. A few parting thoughts. What are those thoughts?
The thought, first of all, there's a difference between hope and faith. And what I'm suggesting is that you forget about hope. Have faith. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in your abilities. Realize that you have the power and the ability to make anything happen. You can do that. And you have this power, and you should take advantage of it. And then furthermore, I encourage you to have faith in other people. I believe that one of the things that's really hurt us, and actually one of the things I really like about what you're doing, is that mainstream media just makes the biggest deal out of the smallest thing. And that's not what it's all about. What it's all about is taking control over your life and taking it back through fundamental kindness and fairness and respect for your fellow man. And forget about the sensationalism that's out there. I think we need to stop every once in a while and realize that for all their good, these television or radio stations that are 24-hour-a-day news, their job is to fill content, and it's pretty hard to do it 24 hours a day unless you make the biggest deal out of the smallest thing. And what I'm saying is recognize that that's what they're doing and don't succumb to that mentality.
Last question. What's good news for you?
Good news for me is waking up in the morning and looking outside and seeing the sun and having my wife and my my older daughter and my younger daughter and my new puppy, and just taking on challenges. Things could be worse, and yes, I am somewhat employed, but there's good news for everybody, and I think the first piece of good news is that you woke up this morning.
The same exact words out of my mouth. Richie, thank you so much. A really honor and a pleasure to speak with you. I look forward to meeting you here in San Francisco and or in New York here or anywhere else, and however we can support you, we'd be happy to do that. So thank you very much for sharing good news with us.
Thank you. Thanks for your time, and thank you for having me on your show.
Okay. Bye-bye.